Job interview, software developer, the culture fit and tech stack alignment. Characters: Harper, VP of People and Culture, focused on communication, values, and cross-team collaboration. Leo, tech lead, focused on the specifics of the front-end stack, performance, and agile processes. Julian, front-end developer, the candidate, technically proficient but emphasizes the importance of user experience and team harmony.
Hi, Julian. Thanks for joining us today for this panel session. How has your interview experience been so far?
It's been great, Harper. I've really enjoyed the deep dives into the back-end and behavioral rounds.
Glad to hear it. We like to keep things rigorous here. Ready to talk front-end and teamwork?
Absolutely, Leo. I'm ready.
Let's start with culture. Julian, how do you define a healthy engineering culture?
To me, it's built on psychological safety, where engineers feel comfortable admitting they don't know something or making mistakes.
I like that. And how do you personally contribute to that kind of environment?
I make it a point to be very active in code reviews, but I focus on being constructive rather than just pointing out bugs.
Speaking of code reviews, let's talk tech. We use React and TypeScript extensively here. What's your experience with state management?
I've used Redux Toolkit in the past, but lately, I've been leaning toward React Query for server state and Context API for global UI state.
Why the shift away from Redux for everything?
Redux can introduce a lot of boilerplate. React Query handles caching and synchronization so much more elegantly out of the box.
Julian, how do you handle it when a designer hands you a mock-up that you know is technically impossible or will cause major performance issues?
I never start with no. I usually sit down with the designer and explain the technical constraints in plain language.
Can you give an example of a compromise you've made in that situation?
Sure. A designer once wanted a complex 3D animation on a landing page that would have killed our mobile load times.
What did you suggest instead?
We settled on a high-quality Lottie animation that gave a similar visual feel, but at a fraction of the performance cost.
That's a good balance. Now, regarding performance, how do you optimize a large-scale React application?
I look at code splitting using React.lazy, optimizing images, and being careful with unnecessary re-renders using memo and use callback.
How do you decide when to use useMemo? Some people over-optimize everything.
I agree. I only use it for truly expensive calculations or when a referential identity check is causing downstream performance hits.
Let's talk about Agile. How do you feel about daily stand-ups and 2-week sprints?
I find them essential for staying aligned, as long as the stand-up doesn't turn into a deep dive technical discussion that blocks everyone else.
What do you do if you realize mid-sprint that you won't be able to finish your assigned tickets?
I raise the flag as early as possible. I don't wait until the last day of the sprint to tell the team I'm stuck.
Who do you tell first?
I'd mention it in the stand-up, and then sync with the product manager to see if we need to adjust the scope or move a ticket to the next sprint.
How do you stay up to date with the fast-moving world of front-end development?
I follow several tech blogs, listen to the Syntax podcast, and I usually have a small side project where I experiment with new libraries.
What's a new technology you're currently excited about?
I've been looking into Next.js server components. The idea of reducing the client-side bundle size is very appealing.
If you had a conflict with a fellow developer regarding a technical choice, how would you resolve it?
I'd suggest we look at the data. We could run a small POC, a proof of concept, and compare the two approaches based on performance and maintainability.
And if the data is inconclusive?
Then I'd defer to the team's established standards, or the tech lead's final decision. Disagree and commit.
That's a very mature outlook. We value that disagree and commit philosophy here.
How do you handle accessibility, A11Y, in your front-end work?
It's not an afterthought for me. I use semantic HTML, ensure proper area labels, and test for keyboard navigation.
Why is that important for the business, in your opinion?
Beyond it being the right thing to do, it expands our market reach and is often a legal requirement in many regions.
What kind of work environment do you thrive in most? Remote, hybrid, or in office?
I prefer hybrid. I love the focus time at home, but I think nothing beats in-person whiteboarding for complex features.
We are currently hybrid, so that fits perfectly. What's your experience with CSS in JS?
I've worked with style components and Tailwind CSS. Personally, I find Tailwind great for rapid development and keeping the CSS bundle small.
Well, Julian, you've answered our questions very thoroughly. You seem to bridge the gap between tech and people quite well.
Thank you, Harper. I believe great software is built by great teams, not just great coders.
I think we have what we need. Do you have any final questions for us?
Yes, I'd love to know what the biggest challenge the front-end team is currently facing is.
We're actually in the middle of a massive migration from a monolithic architecture to a micro front-end setup. It's quite a ride.
That sounds like a fascinating challenge. I'd love to be a part of it.
See you in the next English conversation session by Wisdom Studio 8.